What's up, everybody? It's time for the Chicago Bears Roundup. First things first, we're going to take a look at free agency and see who the Bears kept and who they let go. Key keeps for me that the Bears kept were Nate Collins, Jay Cutler, Robbie Gould was signed through 2017, Tim Jennings, Kelvin Hayden, Derek Martin, Sherrick McMantis, Jeremiah Ratliff, Jordan Palmer. I think that's big considering we lost Josh McCown. And another big one for me, getting back the man, Peanut Tillman. That's a big signing considering Peanut is one of the premier corners still in the league, up there in age, but he can still play. You know, the Peanut punch is always very prevalent in his game. But there's a few players that left that I'm really disappointed in that left, and one of those is Henry Melton. He's a key guy. We saw with the loss of him with the torn ACL in the season. It was huge to lose him to torn ACL. You see in the gap in the defense with the rookie linebackers. Really sad to see him go. He's been a key player throughout all the years he's been here. Was a running back in high school, or not actually in high school and in college when he first came to Texas. Was a running back. Guy's athletic. You can coach a lot of things, but you can't coach athleticism. That's one thing that guy had. Another player that's athletic that we lost. And to the dreaded Green Bay Packers, we lose Julius Peppers. That's huge. Julius Peppers, I know he had a down year last year. Everyone's been bogging on him. Oh, he had a bad year, whatever. He's not bad. He's probably one of the top 10, actually I won't say top 15 greatest defensive ends ever. The guy is a freak of nature, 6'7", 270 pounds, runs a 4.5. He's a man. You can't replace, like I just said, you can't replace athleticism. Pure athleticism, and it's going to be hard to see him go considering he's going to be lining up across the Bears now in Lambeau or in Soldier Field, whatever they're going to be playing. And it's going to be tough to guard him because he's going to know some of the stuff Chicago will be doing considering he played 1 year already under Trestman. In practice, he's seen it. It's going to be interesting to see how that goes because I expect him to have at least one more good year under Dom Capers. Capers is a guy that's been known to resurrect careers. He's also been known to produce some pretty good defenses when he's had the opportunity, and Cutler just gets a new deal. He's with us through 2020. I don't think he'll play. I don't think he'll be here all 7 years. I don't think it's going to happen. But one more key loss, and I know it may have been a system kind of thing with Josh McCown, and I really think it was because everyone talks about how Trestman's the quarterback whisperer, and McCown, I feel like Trestman really tapped into his quarterback whispering self, whatever you want to call it, and really tapped in on that and helped Josh McCown become the player he was. Josh McCown was a guy in Carolina just sitting there coaching high school football, comes out of nowhere and has a stellar year considering everyone's like, oh, they signed McCown for a backup, whatever. He's not going to do much. One player who I don't think was going to really be a big loss, but maybe in the locker room be a big loss, and that's Corey Wooten. Another big loss goes to the Vikings. We got all our decent players going to rival teams in the Vikings. Picking up Corey Wooten with the loss of Jared Allen. I think Wooten won't fill the shoes of Jared Allen, obviously, because Allen's a Hall of Famer, first ballot, no doubt. But Wooten, solid player. I've seen him a few times when I watch every game, and I see him struggle sometimes on the run. But in the pass, he does a good job. He plays anywhere on the front, and I've seen him play nose tackle, outside defensive end, left defensive end, right defensive end, whichever side you put him on. And a really, really solid player. He'll get him about 5 sacks a year. Nothing too crazy. He didn't do anything too crazy in Chicago either. And the man of the hour that left, everyone was kind of surprised. I wasn't surprised he left. I was kind of okay with it, to be honest with you. And that's Devin Hester going out to the Falcons. I liked him. I was a big fan of him. He was really big whenever I was in high school. And but honestly, I mean, I feel like he was a distraction almost because whenever he was doing well, everyone loved him. But whenever he was doing really bad, he kind of made a distraction because it was always, well, I'm playing offense, I can't do this. Well, I'm playing defense, I can't do this. Well, first off, he was a bad corner. He wasn't that good of a corner at the University of Miami. As a wide receiver, he did make spectacular plays. He could stretch the field. That's something the Bears are going to miss, even though last year he didn't play wide receiver at all. But overall, though, very solid player. I still think the Falcons overpaid for him. I think we overpaid for him when we gave him an extension a few years ago. It was about $2.95 million, I do believe. It was somewhere around there. And I thought we overpaid for him. I was really disappointed in how the Bears handled that. I don't think he's going to go in the Hall of Fame. I just don't think there's a place in the Hall of Fame for great kick returners. And unless they're a great player in a different position, he was never a solid player in a different position, and that's where it's going to hurt him as a corner. Like I said, stone hips, couldn't move. Speaking of stone hips, another player we need to get rid of is Chris Conte. I want to go back to that because the Bears made some good signings out of free agency, and Ryan Mundy, MD Jennings come to Chicago, Danny McCray as well, and I feel like MD Jennings could be a solid playmaker for the Bears. And probably maybe move Chris Conte down the depth chart because he is a traffic cone out there. And the only reason we put him out there is the only reason Mel Tucker puts him out there, that is because he hopes somebody trips over him because God knows he isn't going to cover anybody. And Ryan Mundy, this guy can hit. He can play the solid free safety position or strong safety, whatever you want. He can come in the box. He can hit. MD Jennings out of Arkansas State, just talking about him a little bit, he is a playmaker. You think of Ed Reed, you think of Troy Palmer, you think of a playmaker. I think of MD Jennings. Guy can flow around, he can hit, he can make plays, and you just can't replace that. You can't replace a pure playmaker. And another player that's going to come in for Chicago and really make a difference throughout, that's going to be Lamar Houston. I like the guy. I've caught a few of his games in Oakland, and I was really impressed with him. He's a strong run defender. He's athletic. He's fast. He can get to the quarterback, and when he hits the quarterback, there's an opportunity for a fumble. Sometimes, you see defensive ends make tackles like, oh, whatever, you got him by the ankles. This guy, when he comes, he's coming to hurt you. And with all the good quarterbacks in the NFC North, Stafford and Rodgers, I feel like he's going to be a good player. That's really going to put the clamps down for the Bears, considering they were one of the worst teams when it comes to sacks. And finally, Izzy comes back to Chicago. I was really sad to see Izzy go. He's a interesting player out of Manitoba. I really liked the guy. I thought he was a huge pickup for the Bears coming back again. He left for the Lions, didn't have a great year, but that's okay though because he's back in Chicago. We'll see how if he can flourish under Mel Tucker. And talking about another player we stole from the Lions, that's Willie Young. He's another player just like Lamar Houston, very, very solid, can give you a lot of quality downs. And considering that, he's a great run stop. He's almost more efficient than Lamar Houston. I seen a thing the other day in the Bleacher Report. They were talking about how more efficient he was, and yeah, he's strong on the run as well. Because I mean, the Bears had struggles against the Lions a few times. Of course, some of those struggles came with Reggie Bush looking like Gale Sayers out there on the field because the Bears just were not tackling him. A few other pickups here. Jordan Shen, I don't know the guy. I've never even heard of him, but I heard he likes to play on the special teams. That's one thing we missed when used to have Brian Abendejo out here, and he'd come down on the field as a gunner. I remember one time he came out there as a gunner, and I was like, man, this is a hybrid gunner kind of thing. And I feel like this guy, Jordan Shen, can bring the same intensity that Brendan Abendejo brought to Chicago. And then finally, Dominique Hickson. I don't think he's coming in to play the 3. I see him playing the kick returner and maybe the 4 slot. And talking about the 3, Marquise Wilson. I keep up with the Bears a lot and check in on Alshon Jeffrey and Brandon Marshall on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and seeing that Marquise Wilson starting to work out with them. And Marquise Wilson last year did not do much, but as far as last year working out, Alshon Jeffrey worked out with Brandon Marshall. We all remember the year he had 6 catches in the back of the end zone, 6 sideline catches, making quality catches over the middle as a possession receiver. And I think Marquise Wilson's going to benefit from this, as more than anybody's going to benefit from this is going to be Jay Cutler, considering he'll have a prominent 3 role from him working out with Jeffrey and Marshall. And then looking at a few things that a few other players who are leaving. Earl Bennett left. I'm kind of okay with that. Earl, he was he liked to drop the ball a little bit, and kind of made me sad to see him not develop how I thought he would. He came with Jay Cutler as from Vanderbilt, not with him, but with the same school. They played a year together, but it's just, I don't know. It bothers me because he could have been such a good player, but he just, I guess, had his heart somewhere else. He's gone. Zach Bowman's gone. Eden Britton's gone. I'm fine with that. Michael Bush, I'm really glad he's gone. I was actually really excited when we first signed him. I thought, hey, we got a power back now. We got Matt Forte. Take the pounding off Matt. But even Matt shows he's still more of a power back than Michael Bush. Michael Bush was he was weak when it came to a lot of things, and power was one. Even though the guy was a huge guy, but he couldn't run between the tackles very well this past year. Another player I'm really sad to go, and that's, well, actually he's unrestricted free agent right now, but we'll see if we can bring him back, and that's Patrick Manley. Guy is a Chicago legend, I guess you could say, out of Duke University, and played 16 years with the Bears. He was the longest tenured Bear. Guy sometimes gets forgotten because he was drafted so long ago, but he does a lot for the Bears, and there was a lot. He got hurt this past year, and I forget who came in, but Patrick is a centerpiece of the special teams, and I hope the Bears can find a way to bring him back. One player who's another unrestricted free agent is Major Wright out of the University of Florida, and I would be okay with him leaving. He's not exactly what I would call a prototypical safety. He's had about 4 return touchdowns, but as far as just playing in the box and making strong tackles, he just swings for the air. I don't understand what he's doing sometimes. And if he goes, it's fine, because yeah. He's been disappointing for me. I was actually really excited when I first drafted him in the 3rd round, I do believe, and it's whatever. See ya. Another player we brought back, Matt Slauson. I was really impressed with him throughout the entire year. Actually, I was impressed with the entire Chicago Bears offensive line. They really changed what I thought. Lovie Smith always had atrocious offensive lines, and I always thought, Lovie, man, you got to do something. Mark Trestman comes in, boom, 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 makes signings, brings players in, drafts Jordan Mills and Kyle Long, and they absolutely destroy it on the right side of the line. But the only place where we're weak right now on the line is Roberto Garza. We did re-sign him for an extra year. And one player that's still out there, and it's kind of touchy if you want to sign him or not, just because of how it's structured right now, and that's Alex Mack. But the Browns, he's from Cleveland, and but the thing is, if he does accept an offer, the Browns have 5 days to accept or match it. That is, and I'm really worried that Phil Emery's worried about the whole matching thing, because you don't want to put your money out there and then you get matched. And I know a lot of people like Roberto. He's a great guy out in the community of Chicago. He goes in the inner city, helps kids out in the parks and stuff. But overall, though, he's just not the guy we need. We need to look in a different place. Of course, the draft is coming up, and I fully expect the Bears to look at the safety position first, along with the defensive end. And then, kind of like they did the last time with Jordan Mills, target a late-round player that, hey, if you come into camp and you fight hard, you might have an opportunity to win a spot. And I think we will have a huge opportunity in the draft. This draft is one of the deepest drafts ever. Mel Kiper and Todd McShay talk a lot about it, how deep this draft is. I think it's one of the deepest drafts I've ever seen since I've been watching football, and that's been, 14 years. So I've never seen a draft this deep. And see, that's the thing. I really hope the Bears, in the first round, if not a safety, go after a linebacker. And I don't know who, maybe Anthony Barr, but they need somebody, because they brought back James Anderson, and I still don't know who's gonna be that guy that's really gonna make a difference for the team, because it just seems to me like John Bostic still doesn't understand everything he needs to understand. Because, I mean, you're coming in, filling in one of the greatest linebackers in Chicago Bear history in Brian Urlacher. Then they're talking about moving Bostic outside with McClellan. They're talking about McClellan back. I think McClellan's not going to be the player we thought he was. He's going to probably be a wasted first-round pick. But, hey, everyone makes mistakes, right? Let's hope something can come out of that, because that's worrisome with him. It's his second year, still not developing how I would like him to develop. Yeah, that's all I've got. I just really think the Bears should looking to draft a defense first in the first round, because that could be huge. If they can find a difference maker, Clinton Dix could be another guy, comes in Chicago. And this is another guy he's athletic, and I've talked about this many times so far in this podcast. Athleticism goes a long way. And if the Bears can find a good athletic safety in the draft, their back is covered. And that's the thing. We were so susceptible to long passes and poor tackling in the gaps that a street cone, like I talked about Chris Conte, would make a huge difference, because we have no tackling in the secondary. And with Charles Tillman, you see in the lack of tackling. Tim Jennings, that guy is not a big man, and whenever he gets in front of somebody big, he gets freight trained. But anyways, I hope everybody enjoyed the podcast today. We'll have one come out every week to talk about key Bear topics. Leave comments, leave questions. I'll answer them. We'll talk about them. But yeah, that's all the time we got today for the Chicago Bears review. Thank you everybody for listening. I'm JT Wiskowski. Have a great day, everybody.